Hi, my name is James Idipoiminich,
My name is Andrew Thurman.
My name is William Montezioca.
and today we'll be presenting on the black box testing. So we first want to go over what is black box testing. It's a kind of testing that ignores the internal mechanism of a system and focuses on the output generated from selected input and execution conditions. Um, Basically, it what it's saying is it ignores the inner workings of a system and focuses on the inputs and outputs, which basically goes what goes into the system and what it returns. Now the tester only knows what can be input into the black box, and in the because of this, the tester shouldn't be the one writing the codes for the system. Otherwise, the test will be done on the inner system instead of testing what the user or consumer would do or what they will interact with. So, and this concept goes back to that picture of the black box itself. And they uses the black box because it deals with just the input and the output, and the user and the testers will not know what the inner workings and the inner mechanisms, what goes on in the box or in the software itself. Now we want to talk about the types of black box testing, and so there are various types, but we want to go over these three prominent ones, which are the functional test, the non-functional testing, and the regression testing. So in regards to the functional test, this focuses on the functionality of the system according to the requirements. So it goes in and look at the specifications requirements and go through each one, and the system is to check if the system is doing what it's supposed to be doing. And the next testing is a non-functional testing, and with this one, it does not deal with the functionalities, but it deals more on performance and an evaluation criteria, such as scalability, usability, efficiency, learnability, and so on and so on. Now, the other testing is the regression testing. This testing is done after the bugs are fixed. So this test to make sure that the fixes didn't cause any other problems. And basically, the main point of this testing is to determine whether a change in one part of the software affects the other parts.
Some primary strategies for black box testing include equivalence class testing, boundary value testing, and decision table testing. With the equivalence class testing, this helps us to minimize the number of tests that we run onto the system, but while still covering all the necessary fields that need to be tested. Boundary value testing finds segmentation faults, also checks to see if the input is in range or is of good value or bad value. Make sure that nothing goes out of bounds while the system is running the input and that the output is good, and reduces the amount of test cases for the system as well. The decision table testing is a matrix that is created with conditions and actions. Here you can see over a picture on the right where it's marked with yeses and nos and X's. So every input that is put into the system, it will then be recorded onto this matrix.
Now I want to talk about the upsides of the black box testing. And first is the simplicity that it provides. This facilitates testing of high-level designs and complex applications because it deals with the just the input and the output. It overlooks the inner workings of the system, um, which lets you deal with really the end product or the high-level designs. Um, Black box testing is also reproducible, which means basically you can duplicate it. And a tester needs no knowledge of the implementation, including specific programming languages. So testers can be non-technical people, such as customers, which actually is also another upside um, because testers are people without technical backgrounds and knowledge that they are able to provide um, really unbiased opinion, which is why a test is balanced and prejudice. Um, and Tests will be done from an end user perspective since they're the ones who accept the system. And because of this, This testing is also called the acceptance testing.
Some downsides are that not all of the test cases or all the possible inputs can be tested, and the paths inside the program or the code may not all be tested as well. Without clear specifications, test cases can be difficult to design, and test cases can be redundant if a software developer has already ran the test. Testing every possible input can be nearly too impossible because it takes so much time it can take too much time to think of these test cases, and is also due to the tester's knowledge as well. And this cannot be used for testing complex segments of code. Some effectiveness of black box testing is that this allows the customer to be the tester as well. This is good for us in software development because those are our end users. We want them to be able to test it and give us negative and positive feedback. It also is effective in probing for external security vulnerabilities, as well as it tests the entire software application instead of the low-level designs, and helps validate that the software product satisfies upper-level software requirements.
Now, to discuss some of the differences, we want to start off with the software method. A black box, like James had explained, is only concerned about the input and the output, while the white box will ensure that every line of code is tested. Take it, for instance, a vending machine. A black box tester would be interested more in the input and the output. The input being the customer inserting the money and specifying the desired product. And the output would be delivering the desired product, like a piece of candy or a can of soda, plus the change if necessary. Now, the ones that will be conducting the testing for black box will be testers. Testers who are technical but do not need any implementation knowledge or a programming background. While for the white box testers, it will be the developers, and they do need to have implementation and programming back knowledge. As for the testing levels, black box uses higher levels of testing like system testing and acceptance testing. White box focuses more on the lower level of testing like unit testing and integration testing. The meaning is the black box uses a behavioral testing, which validates whether or not a given system conforms to the software specification. As for the white box, they use a interior or structure testing, which is used for debugging tools and features of the given development environment. Now, it all starts off from for the black box testing in this requirement specification document, also known as the SRS, and for the white box is more of an SDD. And what they hope to accomplish is, for the black box, is to make sure that the application meets customer requirements and that the system does what it's designed to do. White box is only concerned to check on how the system is performing. And to conclude, it concentrates on the functionality of the system under test, and white box is only concerned about the testing the structure of the code, branches, or other coding standards found internally.
Absolutely. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for your time.